The second factor that is being used as a reason, or perhaps more accurately, a justification for the development of this new system of surveillance and social control, is the environment. Now, it should be painfully clear to anyone that humanity's relationship with the natural world is radically out of alignment. The litany of damage we are causing to this beautiful jewel of a planet is truly shocking, and the scale and breadth of the problem can feel overwhelming. Overfishing and microplastics in the oceans, the extinction of countless species, the die-off of insects and pollinators, widespread deforestation and the loss of biodiversity, the silent but catastrophic destruction of our topsoils through the use of harmful pesticides, glyphosate and unsustainable industrial agricultural practices, the desertification of vast swathes of our once fertile land, and the widespread use of hormone-disrupting chemicals in our plastics that leach into the environment and into our bodies. The disturbing list goes on and on. With these misaligned and unsustainable practices, we are seeing a dramatic rise in the sicknesses of affluence, increases in a raft of seemingly unrelated illnesses and allergies, and a simultaneous deterioration in the ecological systems that all earthlings, both humans and animals, depend upon. It is clear that we cannot continue on this trajectory for much longer without catastrophic consequences. We have arrived at this point not because humans are a cancer on the earth or some sort of virus, as some amongst the elite would have you believe, but instead because we have become estranged from nature and forgotten what 1,000 generations before us knew in their bones, that we are an integral part of the natural world, different from the other earthlings we share this planet with, primarily in our incredible tool-making abilities and the commensurate capacity we possess to transform the world around us. We are not separate from the natural world, nor do we have dominion over it. We are just one miraculous strand in the multitudinous web of complex connections that shape the planet we call home, completely dependent upon the bounteous, self-renewing systems of nature. To solve these complex environmental problems, we must again come into harmony with nature and see the natural world as having intrinsic, innate worth, rather than only for its utilitarian value as a resource to be exploited, monetised and then discarded. Contrary to what the doomsayers will have you believe, and despite the scale of the challenges, we have everything we need to do this. For although we live on a finite planet, the two resources that are most critical to this transformation have no such limitations: our ingenuity and our adaptability. Utilising our modern technologies and guided by ancestral wisdom, we can remove our dependencies on pesticides and poisons and instead deploy regenerative agricultural practices to heal our soils, our ecosystems and ourselves in the process. We can free ourselves from the empty and unfulfilling hamster wheel of consumer fetishism, end the illogical and egregious practice of planned obsolescence, and transform our single-use, fast-fashion, throwaway culture into one that values connection, community and integrity. And whether you see global warming or its rebranded variant climate change as an existential threat predominantly caused by the burden of fossil fuels, or conversely as a largely natural, cyclical phenomena that humans are having little meaningful impact upon, it seems somewhat archaic that in this world of particle accelerators, space telescopes and supercomputers, we still derive most of our light, heat and energy in the same way our ancient ancestors did, by simply burning combustible materials, albeit instead of wood, dung and animal fat, we now burn ancient energy-dense hydrocarbons. Surely we can do better than this. After all, there is a vast fusion reactor in the sky, known as the Sun, that provides more energy than we could ever need, and the technology to collect, store and utilise that energy is becoming cheaper and more efficient with every year that passes. If just a fraction of the resources currently spent on developing and deploying high-tech weapons of war was diverted to further improvements in the generation and storage of solar energy, we could shift to a clean, reliable and most importantly decentralised energy system that would no longer pump particulates into the air, risk devastating deep ocean oil spills or catastrophic nuclear meltdowns. That's not to say that we could do this overnight, or that it will be easy, or that continued technological advances will not be required to improve efficiency and drive down costs. And of course we should not make such rapid, radical and one-dimensional changes so as to disrupt the economic and agricultural systems we all depend upon and risk widespread deprivation, conflict or starvation. Nor should we greenwash over the downsides, dangers and complexities of transforming our energy infrastructure. But making these changes is completely within our capabilities, and that's without even considering the exotic energy generation technologies that are almost certainly locked away in black projects, funded by our taxes, which have never seen the light of day. But once again, rather than take such a life-sustaining and life-affirming path, the elites have seized upon the environment, and anthropogenic climate change in particular, as the perfect way to justify and extend their control agenda, with human-generated CO2 characterised as the prime driver of climate change and posing an existential threat to humanity. The case is being made that every aspect of our lives must therefore be monitored and controlled to curtail its production. But just as vaccine passports were deceptively promoted as an essential tool in the fight against COVID, but were really just a Trojan horse used to introduce a digital ID scheme, carbon credits will soon be rolled out, marketed as a critical mechanism in the battle against climate change, but in reality, they will just be another mechanism for social control and surveillance. Through this sleight of hand, the environment is being weaponised and turned against us by those who wish to create this new totalitarian system. Tied to the vaccine passport digital ID system, personal carbon credits will be issued to nearly every human being on the planet, the exact amount you are allocated being dependent upon your social credit score. The freedoms we have all enjoyed for all our lives, the freedom to live the lives we choose, go where we wish, enjoy our leisure time as we desire, and even eat what we want will in an instant have been taken from us. We will be little more than livestock, tagged and monitored, prodded and punished, grateful for whatever scraps of food and freedom we are given by our masters. However, digital IDs, social credit scores, and carbon credits do not complete the architecture of technocratic control that is planned for us. There is one further element of the envisioned system that is missing: a new type of money.